Motor, J Motor, J Motor, J Motor, recognize Heckler House, Heckler House. Oh, 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 oh.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Thomas back again with another rendition of Truth Be Told. Now this week, nothing really major going on in the news except for, Mexico has gone ahead and sent 10,000 troops to the border. He's cut a deal with them. He's now going to be working on Canada and China, trying to get a deal with them through the tariffs. They're throwing a fit about trying to say that him firing FBI agents is against the law when it's actually not. He has the right to do that as part of his powers, executive powers, so they can get over it. Other than that, I really didn't see anything major going on. I know there's been a couple of plane crashes or whatever due to the DEI program caused by that program. The DEI program has been exposed and they're eliminating all the DEI crap. So anyways, let's get on to what I really want to talk to you about this week. I watched some more of the TV show called Monsters, and we already did 1 through 8, the first 8 episodes. Understand, again, this is a anthology series. So it's going to take me a little bit to get through them all, because I kind of have to do them individually because they're individual stories. It's not like, a continuation story of a TV show that goes for like 3 or 4 seasons or whatever. It's not like that. So we're starting at number 9 this round, and it's called Pool Sharks. Now this guy, he hunts down this female vampire who killed his brother. I can't remember exactly who. She killed someone close to him. I think it was his brother. So he tracked her down. And then he ends up, killing her, getting his revenge. And the meaning behind Pool Sharks is they play a game of pool. That's how she meets these men. She plays pool with them, and then, as a payment, she gets to drain them. But not this time. Alright, so the 10th episode is called Pillow Talk. And I remember this back in the day when this show first came out. There were a couple of episodes I'd seen, and this was one of them. I thought it was just weird. Pillow Talk is basically, there's this guy who's a writer, and he writes these horror stories, and he does it off his dreams. Well, they're not really his dreams. His bed, for whatever reason, is like some type of ancient creature or whatever that feeds him these dreams. In exchange, he has to feed the bed women or people. It could be anybody, but he tends to lure women home and then feeds the bed. He meets this one woman who steals his manuscript for his new book. He goes over to her place, and come to find out she's the same way, except for her, It's the refrigerator. You know, she tells him to go get a beer. He goes to get a beer in the fridge, eats him. Moving on to the next story, number 11, Rouse Him Not is what it's called, the episode. And basically, there's a woman who buys this house, old house. She's a painter, and she starts hearing some weird shit going on. Well, this guy just shows up out of the blue and tells her, you know, there used to be this old ancient warlock that lived there, and they think he conjured up some demon that lives in the basement. And she goes right along with it. He ends up conjuring up this old ancient, I don't know, demon from the basement or whatever, and he ends up killing it. It was kind of silly. Then 12 is called Fool's Gold. Basically, you have, I can't remember if there's 2 or 3 of them. There's like 3 miners and then a woman that's with them. They're all part of this mining company. They end up tearing up this hole, and they find gold inside this cavern. And then they also find a troll of all the creatures that's guarding this treasure chest full of gold. And he has this power where he burns them alive if they touch the gold. I think one of them kills the troll after a collapse, and then they dig their way out, him and the woman. It was silly again. 13th one is called Glim Glim. Yeah, I know, it's spelt that way too, Glim Glim. Basically, you have an alien who brought a virus to our planet and wiped out civilization except for like 3 humans that are left, that he put up a shield over their town to keep them alive. And he's trying to figure out how to counteract the virus from killing these humans. But the humans don't understand him. A little girl figures out how to communicate with him, but the 2 guys, they don't understand. They end up killing him, and then you know what's going to happen next after they kill the alien. Then 14 is My Parents Are From Space. Basically, this girl, like 12-year-old girl, she has some adopted parents or whatever, and they're cruel to her. It's an old couple. They're really cruel to her. They treat her like a slave. So they're very abusive. And then some aliens crash in their barn or some shit and take over their bodies. And then the ship, something happens to the ship and it blows up or some shit, and they end up having to stay on Earth and becoming her new parents. Alright. And 15, The Mother Instinct. This woman has a daughter who marries this real scumbag. He's a piece of crap. He treats her like dog crap, beats her and everything else. He's very abusive. Well, they show up to her mother's place, and her mother's trying to convince her to leave him, get rid of him. He's no good. Well, she shows him that she's super strong, even though she's been staying in this wheelchair. He figures out that there's these plants that she's been tending to, and he thinks that the plants are giving her something to make her more stronger. Well, come to find out, it's these worms that live under the plants, and they end up killing him, and end the story. The last one is called Sorry, I can't even read my own writing. Their Divided Self. You have a couple of conjoined twins who are famous for being comedians, but they're not really funny, and they actually are serial killers. They like killing people, and they tend to get away with it because of their fame, and people just can't believe that they would do something like that. They end up killing this guy or whatever, or this girl or some shit they've known for a long time or some shit, and they end up killing them, like this couple or whatever, and get away with it. That's pretty much the story. So that was the next 8 episodes of Monsters. It's cheesy. Honestly, it's cheesy. They're pretty cheesy, but you know, there's something to watch, and they're not some of them are not half as bad, while the other half is pretty bad. You know, it's just some of the acting's okay, and then in others it's just what the hell, you know. I don't know. So you're getting 50-50 with this show. Some good, some bad. But that's usually with most anthology series. I have a ton of anthology series to go through that haven't, like Tales from the Dark Side, Twilight Zone. You know, there's several of them. I've done Amazing Stories, but there's Night Gallery. There's so many anthology series that I haven't done, that I need to get around and getting them done. It's just, they're all individual stories, so I have to take it that way. Anyways, that was the next 8. I'll get to the next 8 next time, and then we'll end up, and that'll be the end of season 1. There's 3 seasons, so got 8 more to go for season 1, which I'm working on. We'll get to them soon. I've got a few more other shows to talk to you about first, though. So that's the end of that. I do talk about other stuff in a secondary channel I have. You can find the link down below in the About section. Check it out if you want to. Let's get on to your B-movie reviews. Alright, movie holics. This week is Fantasy Week. Now, you can intertwine fantasy and sci-fi sometimes. I'm going with a series of movies. There's 4 of them. Actually, I think there's only 3 of them, but they did do a 4th one, kind of half TV-ish. Um, and this is kind of a strange fantasy. Uh, the Brits are really big on this show. They did a TV series, but I've never watched the TV series. I didn't care for the guy who stars in the TV series. And the show's called Highlander. Even though it's become a cult classic, it's still a B movie. Basically, the story is you're dealing with the 16th century Scottishman named Connor MacLeod. The guy in the TV series, his name was Duncan MacLeod. But you're dealing with a guy named Connor MacLeod. Now he doesn't know what's going on when you see flashbacks. He doesn't know what's going on when Clancy Brown's character, which he calls the Black Knight, shows up and stabs him, and he should have been dead, but he doesn't die. He heals up pretty quickly. But his clan freaks out and thinks he's got the devil in him, is that what they say. So they cast him out. They were going to burn him, but one of his clansmen said just banish him. So they banished him. And then Sean Connery's character shows up. Yeah, he's in it too. He shows up, and I guess I should have done this first. Sorry. This movie was in 1986. It only made about $6 million, which kind of surprises me, since most people know about this movie. It's got Christopher Lambert, he's the star, and then Roxanne Hart is the love interest in the 80s, not the past, not his first wife, but she plays the love interest, in New York. And then you have Clancy Brown as the bad guy, and then Sean Connery's his friend. So you have a number of stars in this movie. That's why I was surprised at the box office numbers. I was like, this is a pretty well-known movie. I'm surprised they only made that much worldwide. But anyways, to go on with the story. Sean Connery's character, which is called Ramirez, he shows up. He teaches Connor MacLeod about Christopher Lambert's character. He teaches him about what a Highlander is. Except for where, the origin story, where they came from. All he says is they just started appearing. Several of them, started appearing, and they were immortal, that they were born that way, which didn't make any sense. So it doesn't explain why a select few are immortal. But he does tell him that eventually, at one point in time, they will come together when there's just a very few of them left, and they will collect a prize for chopping off the heads of all the other Highlanders. That's the only way to kill them. Otherwise, they won't die. Okay. So he teaches him and prepares him. He tells them they have one rule. They can't fight on hollow ground, or you know, holy ground, like a church or something. And, you know, it flashes to when, for some reason, he's gone. He's not at home. He has a wife. Ramirez is there with her. So the one they call the Kurgan, which is the bad guy, played by Clancy Brown, he shows up to his home. He kills Ramirez and then rapes his wife. She doesn't ever tell him. She dies with it. He grows old with her. He feels the pain of her growing old. He knew about Kurgan, but he didn't know that he raped his wife. Anyways, flash forward to 1980. Now he's living in New York as some antique dealer. This woman, played by Roxanne Hart, she's following him around. She ends up becoming his lover. He kind of half-assed tells her his story. Telling her there's only a few left. And that's what's going on. They call it the gathering. Well, Kurgan shows up. He kidnaps her and uses her as bait to lure him out. They end up fighting, and then he kills Kurgan. Well, his name isn't Kurgan. They just call him the Kurgan. It's some Russian clan, ancient Russian clan or some shit. But anyways, he dies, and he supposedly gets the prize, which is he's now can grow old. He's no longer immortal, and he can hear the thoughts and dreams of everybody on Earth if he concentrates on certain people, you know, that kind of shit. But that's it. That's his power. His gift, or the prize. And he spends the rest of his life with her, and that's the end of the movie. It was okay. It's not a bad movie. I think it's pretty good, although they do not explain the actual origin story of why there are a few immortals. That's never really explained, where they actually come from. You had some decent actors in this. Like I said, the story's not bad. It was definitely an original idea. You don't see anything like this anywhere else, a story similar. Okay, 2 thumbs up. Definitely check it out. It's worth a watch for a fantasy or sci-fi movie. Check it out. The next one, the sequel, which is called Highlander: The Quickening, they scrapped what the original guy did, and this other guy took it over and kind of changed the story and everything. He actually gave it an origin story. The second one was done in 1991, and it made about 50 million worldwide. So it did better than the first one, which is kind of odd, because they were dunking and clowning on this movie when it first came out. Like, the critics hated it. It's, you know, of course, Christopher Lambert. Virginia Madsen is the love interest, and Michael Ironside, which I'm a big fan of Michael Ironside. He plays the bad guy in this. So you had decent actors again. Sean Connery's in this too. He comes back as Ramirez. Anyways, the story is that Christopher Lambert's character creates a shield or dome with another guy, scientist, to protect the Earth from the ozone layer. Apparently, it was causing too much radiation. I remember back in the 90s when they were talking about how the ozone was dying off. Well, that obviously didn't happen. Anyways, in the movie, they create this shield around Earth to protect it from the sun's radiation or whatever due to the ozone layer disappearing. He's gotten really old. Apparently, his wife from the previous movie, she died of radiation burns. This woman he meets, his love interest, she is head of like an activist group who's trying to get them. They keep attacking the corporation that controls the shield. He doesn't actually control the shield anymore. It's some corporation. And they're trying to get rid of the shield. Because they find out that above the shield, the radiation levels have returned to normal. The ozone layer has built itself back up, stronger than before. So they don't need the shield anymore. But the corporation wants to keep using the shield because they're getting all the money from all over the world, from different countries. They're the biggest power head. They don't want to tear down the shield. Michael Ironside, in this one, they're, Christopher Lambert's character and Sean Connery's character, they're aliens, and they were prisoners, political prisoners, sent to Earth as punishment in the future. Now, they're not the only ones. There have been several of them they do this to. And once all of them have killed each other by chopping off their heads and dying off, they get the prize, which the prize has changed too. Now the prize is they grow old either in the future that they're in, or if they want to, they can say, I don't know, somehow they're able to say that they want to come back home, and they'll go back to Zeiss in the past where they came from. Michael Ironside doesn't want this to happen. He finds out that he can still, Connor McLeod can still come back. So he sends two goons to go kill him off. And then, by killing off the goons, Christopher Lambert becomes immortal again. So Michael Ironside, he goes to the future to kill him off. And they have a big fight, blah, 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 same thing. Kidnap the girl, have it out, and then, in the corporation, the shield is destroyed. And, everything's happy ever after, they obviously know there's no more radiation. He's not immortal because he kills off Michael Ironside, and he's supposed to get the prize now again, which is just him, he gets to grow old. That's it. So he decides to grow old with his new love interest. And that's the end of the movie. The movie's okay. I like the fact that they actually gave them an origin story of where they came from and why they're immortal. But the ending was kind of lame. I didn't like the ending. And the whole shield thing, I thought that was kind of weird. But whatever. It's okay. Not the best of the series, but it's a lot better than the last one. So I'll give it a thumbs up and a thumbs down. It's okay. Check it out if you want. I'll do the other two next fantasy round and finish off the series. There was, like I said, you also have, I think his name's Adrian Paul. I can't remember. He stars in the TV series. They did a TV series. And, you know, I never did get into it because it just seemed really, really bad, cheesy. But they did several seasons, apparently. There's been a couple spin-offs, cheesy-ass movies or TV series, but they never really went anywhere. They're supposed to do another one, another movie, eventually, kind of like a reboot or some shit. But they never have gotten around to doing it. And then, you know, there's a couple, I think there's one or two animation series, couple cartoons. So, you know, it went on for a little while, but you just don't hear about it anymore. I think they're done. I don't think they're going to make that new movie, that reboot or whatever. Anyways, check it out if you want. It's alright. That's all I have for you this week. If you have any thoughts about what I talked about earlier in the video, please leave your thoughts down in the comment section down below. If you can think of any, you know, B-rated or, you know, underrated films that you think I've never even heard of, please leave your suggestions down in the comment section down below. I'll get to reviewing them as soon as I can. So, until next time, I told you be told the truth, and you've just been told.